Hi, welcome to Piccadilly Talks. I'm Angelique Virtue, your host. Today, we'll be having a conversation about lifelong learning, the voluntary, ongoing, self-motivated pursuit of education and lessons to live a more full and wholesome life. To have that conversation with me today, I welcome with great pleasure Diane Edwards. Good day, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Angelique. Great to be with you.
I am happy to be able to have this conversation with someone who I think is well on the way to embodying this idea of being several great things in a single lifetime and doing it with a kind of ease that is really inspiring. Do you think of yourself as a lifelong learner?
Absolutely. I think life is a journey. I really believe that, and I really believe one has so many different talents that one can bring out in different ways. So if I look at myself as an example, I started off wanting to be a surgeon. Crazy idea. Then I looked at the dead bodies and said, oh my God, never. And then I really studied languages because I love languages. But then I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do, but it gave me an opportunity to study in Paris. So I studied international relations, felt that still wasn't enough, did an MBA, then worked with UNESCO, worked with Jampro, worked with J. Ray and Nephew running their operation in London, came back to head up Jampro, and now I'm at Mona School of Business and Management. So,
and you did all of that before 30. It's incredible.
You're terribly flattering. Flattery will get you everywhere. But the thing is, I think that in the world we're living in now with Industry 5.0, the point is you can really acquire knowledge through short courses, which is what we do at Mona School of Business and Management, and you can acquire all sorts of different skills and morph into different roles in your career. And that's what's exciting about the time we're living.
It is incredibly exciting. I think too, I started out, Diane, I just loved to read, and then I realized I did reading best of all the things I did, but I couldn't figure out what would you do with a skill in reading. And then I did literature, and I figured that not everyone read as well as I did, and so I said, we'll get this degree. But then out of literature came communications, then media, then sports. And somebody said, but like, what do you know about sports? But I was like, there was a little Angelique who dreamed of being able to talk about things that excited her all the time. And so some persons will not be able to compute someone with an MBA, a background in languages, working for a rum distillery in London.
Exactly.
But it is because we have, as you say, different persons, different parts of who we are, waiting for an opportunity to come out and to share that parts of ourselves with the world. How can parents encourage their children in this day and age to embrace the fact that they don't have to be just one person?
Well, I think it's challenging for parents nowadays because parents, most of whom are boomers or Gen X, they grew up in an era where you became a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or something very defined as a profession. But we're now in Industry 5.0. What does that mean? We're in an age of digitization, digitalization. We're in an age where AI is just bursting on the scene now. ChatGPT has burst on the scene. What does that mean for young people? It means that a lot of the professions that they can aspire to don't even have a name now. They're not even thought of yet because we don't know what they'll become. So if you look at something like a prompt engineer, parents have to get involved in what is a prompt engineer. This is a profession that didn't exist 6, 7 years ago, maybe probably even 3 years ago. So you have to keep up with the technology so that you can advise your children better of where to go and how to channel their skills and how to acquire a broader range of skills so that you'll have more opportunities in the work world. So that's the challenge for parents.
It is the challenge. It's you had the definition. There is very little definition of what does it take to be taken care of and self-sufficient. The jobs that would allow that for you were very defined. I would say 15, 20 years ago. Today, there's so many options, so many ways to get to that place. In my time, only certain people were coders, like very, very brilliant, far away, exceptionally bright people. And then now children are learning to code from games on their tablets. In our formal school system, outside of the ideas of the parents that must change, educators must now be in a position to encourage the kind of curiosity that I think children will now have, seeing as they have such a clear vantage point of the world around them in a way that I didn't have when I was in school. How do you think educators must change?
Well, I think educators also face the same challenge. So in my previous life with JAMPRO, one of the things we were trying to do was get young people interested in the business process outsourcing industry. People think of it as person with telephone. It's really not about the telephone, it's about the computer, because you are in a customer service environment with multi-channel interface. So you're actually you're actually an extension of a Fortune 500 company. You're working for them, but you're sitting in Jamaica. So you may be working for Amazon or Netflix or whoever, but you're sitting here. But you have to be in the corporate culture of Amazon or Netflix. So it's actually teaching you a whole lot of skills that many companies in Jamaica, maybe only the larger ones, have. So my point is that you really have to have that breadth of vision, that adaptability, that openness to new experiences. And that's what it is, I think, for young people, for parents, and for educators. So the challenge for educators, again, the world was very defined as an educator.
Yes.
I give you knowledge, you receive it as a student. But now, with access to Google, you can't go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you have X problem, X disease, and you don't go to Google and find out and come back and tell the doctor, yes, but Google says. So we are challenging the so-called experts out there, big time. So educators have to be prepared to say, okay, I don't have the answer to that question today, but I'll give you tomorrow. But foster that curiosity. Get kids to ask you questions. So it's a whole 360-degree mind shift.
Yes. I feel that because knowledge is no longer a scarce commodity, it's challenging persons who established power structures based on that scarcity.
Absolutely.
And so the young people are saying to those persons, your power structure, you have no power over me, because what caused you to be able to be in a position of power is now available to me. And it's a challenge for parents. Can you imagine a child figuring that out? And for a young employee figuring that out, and for, a patient and a doctor relationship. And she's like, well, Google says that you need to, there's several other options, several other possibilities for my ailment. So when we begin to think about lifelong learning and in the world that we live, and we're young professionals, how do we navigate that kind of negativity, negativity because persons may not be as open because of fear or because of just a lack of knowledge? How do you navigate? How best can a young professional who still wants to be respectful but knows the desires they have, sees the world, how would you advise that person to navigate?
I think young people almost have to help their parents get into the 21st century, because young people understand computers. So 3-year-olds are playing with computers. They're doing video games. They're creating new applications from very, very young ages. So you have to start to help older people get into that world, but also with respect, because I don't think we respect older people enough in Jamaica. I think we allow a lot of people with a lot of experience to just go off into the woodwork and retire and don't recycle their knowledge. So I think knowledge is provisional, but knowledge is expansive. So we need to seek knowledge from many different sources. so that we can generate. We talk about generating our own models or producing our own technology. This is the way we can start to do it. And so as young people, you've got to respect the elders and respect the information and experience they have, but help them to bring that into the 21st century in a different way, because you distill a new creation. That's how you do it, from different sources.
You say that and I see animation, and I see River Muma, and I see Rolling Calf, and I see the stories that we tell, that we learn from our elders, but in the most advanced formats. And that's the meeting, isn't it? That knowledge is expansive, and then knowledge is revolutionary for the next generation, when we can allow ourselves to acknowledge those who hold it and bring them into the space that we've created.
Exactly. Look at the stories we have, the stories that they told with the Wild West, with Westerns. That's just their stories and told from a particular point of view. We have Anansi's stories. We should start telling our stories, and that's what I think educators' role needs to be now, to release the creativity, the soft skills, the humanity that we have, and to help us tell our own stories. So an educator really becomes what my yoga teachers call a guru, a guide. Not someone who is helping to guide you along a journey, not someone who is trying to force you into a box. There are no more boxes. And that's what we've got to take away from this era that we're living in, which is so exciting.
Oh, there are no more boxes, says Diane Edwards. So there's nothing to even get out of. We're all outside.
Exactly.
We are all already outside. I have several other questions: how to navigate the midlife, how to think about retirement, but we do not have the time. I'm so grateful that you could come and share those thoughts with us here today at Piccadilly Talks. Thank you so much, Diane Edwards. That's the time. Thank you so much for joining me here for another episode of Piccadilly Talks. What good? I'm Angelique Virtue. Bye-bye.